Add this.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, mate.
I can hear you.
I can hear you, but it's not through the headphones. I'm gonna have to take these off. They look nice, mate.
They do look good, don't they? What brand are they?
Bose.
Bose. Bose. They look
We
good.
don't.
What am I doing?
I said, how are you doing?
How am I doing? Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. Looking forward to tonight. And
Episode 4 already.
episode 4 already. It's just gone so fast, hasn't it? We'll be saying that every week, but it's been really enjoyable, hasn't it, so far?
And it's nice having a whole mix of. So you've had landscaper, designer, and then now supplier.
Yes.
So we're sort of hitting all the hitting everyone.
No, exactly. So tonight.
Yeah.
And what's quite interesting is he's our age, isn't he, Ollie?
Yeah.
From Corker. He's our age. He's ambitious. He's stepping forward in his family's business and innovating all that stuff. I mean, I'm learning a bit more about him because I haven't had the relationship you have with Ollie.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate. I've known him now, I think 2.5 years.
Yep.
We've only met in person twice. He came down to me middle of last year to do some filming, and obviously I went to Corker a couple of weeks ago to do some filming for their event. But he's amazing. Shall we add him in?
Yeah, do it. But it's good, isn't it? I mean, what I've heard of the company and what I've seen on social media as well is it's interesting, isn't it? The show gardens and everything. I'm sure Ollie will go through it and explain.
Yes, it's a whole setup. They're doing things completely different to anyone else, and I think a lot of other companies, I guess, maybe should take note, and maybe they're sleeping a little bit. But yeah, these guys are going to be it's going to be exciting to see their journey because they've only just got 1 yard, so it's going to be interesting to see the expansion.
No, definitely. I mean, I think especially at the moment with the current climate. The supplies, as much as landscapers, need to be a bit more on the ball. They need to be kind of thinking of how they can stand out from the rest. And it's the same as a landscaper. You need to be keep on pushing. You can't do all the same stuff all the time because that market obviously has a limitation. So you have to keep on pushing and bettering what you do. And I think that's what you're doing, isn't it?
I'm going to try add his personal because it says he can't join. Yeah, and what's really nice is that they've got their own Corker WhatsApp group, which has got all of their clients in. So I'm part of quite a few WhatsApp groups, where it's the APL, sort of other landscaping friends WhatsApp groups, and it's so beneficial. Like what we're trying to do here is create this, I guess, this place, this culture, a safe space. Everyone can share ideas, and yeah, but I don't know many other companies that kind of have a WhatsApp group for all of their clients because people are like, has anyone got a spare turf? Has anyone got any slabs? I've got this issue. Can someone help me? And it's obviously when WhatsApp, it's like instant. Someone can help you out.
Yeah, I mean that is the way forward, isn't it? Not just supplying a product, but as well, inquiring if that product's working, asking all the right questions, right, and making sure that it's the right product for you and blah blah blah.
Hello.
Yeah, here he is.
Here he is.
How are you, Ollie? Yeah, very good.
Good mate. How are you?
Not in person, but closer to person, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
That's it.
I think you're going to try and come down, aren't you, Els?
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try. I think it'd be amazing to meet you in person and see what it's all about at Corkers. But I think that the best part to kick off this Landscapers Life episode 4 with Adam and I is let's have the download on you, Ollie. Just give us a brief kind of how it started, all that good stuff.
So we started. So when I came out of school,
Yeah.
my dad had a construction business, doing like big concrete frameworks up in London for developers and builders and different contractors. So when we left school at 16, we was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember he had a horrible job in Putney, and so we were getting up at 5, getting home at 7, on site all day, and that was always the main business. So that used to be called Corker Construction. My second name's Corker. And so that was always the main company. And alongside that, he used to have a lorry that used to go in and clear the construction site. And when it weren't being used, he put an ad in the local paper, and it said, for small loads of aggregates, call this number. And my mum used to be at home in the conservatory, and when the phone used to ring, they literally just used to go and pop into the local quarries and then go and deliver direct to the consumer. When the recession came, and the construction company took a bit of sort of a dip, that started to grow more organically, and you know, over the years it started to really sort of pick up, especially with people at home doing home improvements, people not moving so much, so they started to focus on that a bit more. At this time, I didn't really have any interest in the business. We was out partying all the time, didn't have much interest at all, and then we got to our 20s, and we thought, you know, we've got a fairly sort of established business in a local area. You know, what should we do? So we basically packed all that in, got our heads down. So me and my brother joined probably about 12 years ago now, properly, like seriously. First few years was just learning about business and getting involved with the company and, you know, helping out where we can. So we was driving the lorries, I've worked in the yard, I've driven the forklifts. You know, worked the yard, I've done every single job you can imagine at this company. And then we created like a little show area at our old yard, which is literally 5 minutes around the corner. And when people used to come down, we used to see them light up from the experience they had, seeing the slabs in situ. You know, most builders merchants were displaying on vertical stands and creating a really intimidating environment. So we softened it. And then the landlord wanted the warehouse back, so we was actually outgrowing that yard, and the landlord needed the warehouse back for, he was manufacturing ice cream then, he just got a big contract with Sainsbury's, and so we was like, well, the yard's sort of getting too small as it is, so we needed to look somewhere else basically. So my dad knew the guy that owned the yard where we are now, and he knew it was on a similar lease, and the company that used to be in here was called CLC. They was like a reinstators. They would go around and do all the potholes and reinstate all the roads. And they lost the contract, so it was perfect timing, mate. And it was a huge jump for us at the time. You know, we went from a 0.7 of an acre yard to a 3-acre yard, and it was
at
like,
the beginning, it's like, it's a lot of money, isn't it? It's that big jump. I think I felt the same way when I went from owning a small business at my parents-in-law. So, okay, I've grown, although they got a big house, at growing it, I need a yard. But suddenly, you know, you're looking at 15 grand a year just gone on that, you know, I didn't used to have to spend 15 grand a year on a unit. We got two, but I can only imagine that was a huge jump financially as well.
yeah, massive, man. Like, you know, the yard that we was at, we had just started to like make profit. We was getting a little bit complacent, I'd say. You know, we was sort of happy there, and it sort of gave us a kick up the arse, and it was the best thing that ever happened. So when we moved to this yard, it was like, you know, this is all or nothing basically. And my auntie was our FD at the time, and we said to her, can we afford it? And she was like, just about. And that was like, thumbs up, off we went.
I mean, you have to take those risks, right?
Yeah, exactly, mate. You know, and back then, obviously, you know, taking those risks, we've always been sort of the mindset of, right, let's have a good idea. You know, if we believe in it, we're going to go for it. And that was our mindset, and it still is now. But the difference to then and now is, you know, we have to be a bit more strategic around it all. We have to look at the numbers in more detail. We have to forecast. We have to, you know, be a bit more risk averse. Where back then there was none of that, mate. We were just,
and see what happens.
off we go. Yeah, one thing of another, mate.
I think some of the best companies have started like that. I mean, You know, I think Adam and I can both say we kind of both started like that a little bit. You know, see how it goes, and then you kind of implement a bit more strategies and a bit more like tactic to the madness. But in some way, you just got to go for it, right?
Oh, exactly. And you know, your resources grow, your team grow, the expertise grow,
Yeah.
and you just get better by doing, basically. And yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's what we've always done, is just go for it. You know, just just go for it, mate. If you overanalyze things and be too analytical, you're going
No,
to
but it would
overthink
hold you
it, and you're probably not
back.
going to do it. So
That's it. No holding back. The only way is forward. So I would say where I think like now we know kind of where the business has come from. Adam, obviously, you already knew that because of that relationship you already have. But for the people watching, I don't know. What do you reckon? Like, I think the next question should be like, what kind of make you stand out from the
Yeah, so
rest?
yeah, no, exactly. So I want to touch upon sort of like the branding and culture, because I know Ollie, me and you, like, we're very similar in that, like heavy branding, heavy into the team culture. And I was lucky enough to come down. You invited me down to Corker HQ to do some filming for the event in April, and I'm, I guess, very aware.
I invited you down
I
to
saw
hold
the
the
story.
shake, mate.
That was quality. And after on
Yeah,
top of the van,
we had a lot of fun that day, didn't we?
yeah, it seemed like a good day.
But yeah, I like pick up little bits of people, like sieve and sponge sort of thing, and some things I can see that are working that I use myself, and then some things I can see, right, I could probably do that a little bit better. But with you, there's like three main things coming into Corker. Was one, the branding, like uniforms. The second thing was coming through the door. I don't know how much money you paid the staff that day, but you come in and you could feel like the energy. Like everyone was like smiling, happy faces. How are you? Like it was, you could just sense that everyone like clearly enjoys being there. And then thirdly, it was we kind of like went off to one side like after the filming, and it's me, you, and Ryan from Skelevis.
Smalls.
Don't know how to say it.
Everyone was
And we were just having like I guess business chat, friend chat, all that sort of stuff. And I noticed that like anytime a new client or a client kind of like walk past, you'd go, "Hold on, guys, 2 seconds," and you'd kind of shoot off. And you'd do like a little, "Hi, how are you?" And then you come straight back. And it's like that level of like customer service of you could be with us, like we're doing the filming, like that's, but you just kind of you drop that and you went straight on to like it's just just how you value your clients and stuff. So yeah, I just touched upon of when did it start getting serious with you with like the whole branding aspect?
so well. When we moved here, we I've always been, you know, I've always loved design and had quite a good eye for detail. And so when we moved here and we wanted to take it more seriously and we wanted to do the garden and we came up with all the ideas, we knew that we had to change our name. You know, it wasn't. People would just keep coming in and saying, "Oh, I didn't know you'd done this," or "I didn't know you'd done that," and we just started to outgrow the Small Loads name. So we went off and we found loads of different branding agencies, and we basically found one in Maidstone called Project 64. Matt and Claire, his wife, they're wicked. So they took us through this whole journey of like, you know, where we are positioned in the market, where we want to go long term. And at this point, I still didn't have a clue what I was doing really. I just knew that he was so professional, and the work that they'd done before was some really good work, top level work. So we went with them, and they created an absolute amazing brand. They got it spot on, you know, with the tree and the sea, and then we took that brand and went to a marketing agency in Tunbridge Wells, and they came up with all the different strap lines, all the different sort of like messaging and what we're going to be putting out to our followers and the consumers. So yeah, we started off, done that, and then it just built from there really. And you know, over the last few years, you know, I'm so into branding now. I love design, love detail, and you know, if I go out and do things now, you know, I'll search for hours for graphics and graphic designers, you know, design agencies, to try and find the right style that I've got in mind. You know, because there's different graphic designers and they do different things. So I always look for freelancers and people doing their own thing. But on the culture side and the customer service side, it's always been like that.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
family
come
kind of like, I guess, you know what that might be drawn to is because it's a family business, and actually, you know, your family comes from a family of builders and that kind of environment. I think, you know, it don't matter where you go. You know, I've got a yard, not a yard of mine, but a place where we buy aggregates. It's called Darlington's, and it's the typical old school. They sell, you know, all the aggregates you need, but nothing else and nothing more. But those places, you go there, you got Bob, who's on his 50 cigarette of the morning, and he comes out, he jumps out of the loader, and what, you know, even those guys that are there every day on the loaders, loading stone or sand, they are so nice. And they take 5 minutes out of their day, and they are going to have a chat. How are you else today? You know, that kind of, you know, he's probably he's not paid a lot. What is basic work, but he's got, you know, that family vibe has got that as well. Obviously, you're now taking this little family business into something much bigger and much greater, but still keeping those little influence of it's the family business.
Yeah, a lot, and I think, yeah, so, you know, I've got all that from my mum and dad, like that down to earth, treating people how you want to be treated. That all comes from my mum and dad. And we never done any advertisement up until about 5 years ago. It was all built on word of mouth. And I think that's where the builders merchants concept is so good and valuable, because you have so many different depots. Each depot, you have so many different meaningful connections and relationships and convenience and habit. And I think that should never be taken away, because people do business on relationships. They love to talk to people. They love to see, you know, how your day been.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I don't know about you, Adam, but I love going to the building merchant. As much as sometimes I hate it, I love going there. Like, you see the same faces. They look after you. You grab your little free cup of coffee, and like you say, people like to be. I mean, especially builders. I mean, builders or landscape. They're like a little chinwag, don't they? You know, those areas you can gossip. Is it busy? You can kind of get a feel on who's busy, who's not busy, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like, a lot of the time they come in and we don't even talk about work. We're having just good fun. We have a laugh. You know, what do you get up to the weekend? You know, what are you up to this weekend? Some of them come in with a hangover on Monday. We're laughing. It's just, I think it's a really nice way to do business. You know, face to face, talking to people, connecting, because technology is ripping so fast and infiltrating everyone's lives. It's nice to be able to, you know, continue to have that.
It's a bit strange, because there's a few companies now kind of pushing AI, and that you've kind of lost that, like, people by people. You've lost that human.
I was just about to say that, like literally on the dot, Adam. You got, you know, other companies like, you know, Arbo Solution, Richard. He's really trying. So I've met him once. Really nice guy, super helpful, ex-landscaper as well, and you know, you kind of get that common ground. But he was really trying to push his website. So the tradesman has an account on the website. Go to his website, order everything. The price is all locked, trade price, all that stuff. I don't really understand it because I'm not a techie guy. But for me, I mean, that will work great for some people. That they can go, click, order what they need. But for me, I just like a phone call. You know, if I can't get to the place, I like to call a guy that, you know, he's got my number saved. He knows when I'm calling. Oh, it's Elle's calling. And you can talk about what you need or what's your requirements or whatever. So that for me is still really important. I don't know what you
I'm the same. So from before you hear it from the supplier's point of view, like Ollie's, but for me, anytime I approach a new company, the first thing I say to them is, who's going to be my rep? Who's my point of contact? I don't want to be ringing up the main line and talking to 6 different people. Like, this is where I live in Chichester. Who deals with this area? Who's going to be my point of contact from the start? So at least they know from day one who you are, and that's kind of
No, exactly. I mean, that's a huge problem I had with London Stone, and I think Adam, you're in a different perspective. Again, you've got a rep with London Stone, and you know, good on you. But I don't. So, but I spend a lot of money with them, right? And you know, try to get to the point of anything, you have to call the main line, and then you get someone that just works on the phone. That's their job. They're not interested in landscaping. They don't have a Scooby. They're there to pick up the phone, and straight away you're kind of like you're fed up already. You know, you want to be working. You don't want to be on the phone trying to explain who you are. What's the order number? What's the address? Oh, okay, we got your order. Fucking great, mate. I mean, you know, you want things to be moving on, right? So anyway, I'm having a little rant, but I think you get my point on. I think people need that quality of service. You know, if you don't have it, I don't think companies out there will do as well. I don't know. That's my view.
No, I agree, mate. And you know, our team, you like Adam says, you're because everyone's excited about what we're doing and we're on this mission, and you know, we're building such a lovely community. Everyone's happy and everyone is bouncing off the walls when you come here. And you know, Adam, there's so many people that have picked up on what Adam and said exactly the same what Adam said. You know, we have suppliers come around the back, and then I'll get an email after saying, you know, you've got a great vibe down there, and that's how we want to keep it. We don't want to grow too fast where we lose that. And that was one of the reasons why we launched Corker on Demand as well, because you've got a point of contact, you've got someone that's going to come out to you, you know, instantly, see your customers, and basically be your right hand man. You know, integrate ourselves.
So my question to you now. So okay, so we got a good understanding of where you've come from and what you're trying to, well, how you deal with customer and marketing and all that stuff. What's your, let's say, 5-year plan with Corker, if you've got one?
Yeah, we've definitely got one. But over the next couple of years is to, you know, start to open some more branches in the right locations with the right people. So, you know, looking at our radius now, so we only serve at a 15 to 18 mile radius, and we hate going outside it. We don't like sending things on pallets because it goes wrong. People have a bad experience, blah, blah, blah. But we're pushing against that radius now. We need to start, you know, talking to people like yourself and just going out and seeing who else is out there that's aligned with what we want to do. And there's so many people that are like that and that want to sort of, you know, really innovate in the industry, be creative and do things different. So we're working on it in a minute. We've got a piece of software that can look at our radius that works out, are the houses rented in the area, what sort of mortgage people have got on them houses, how old they are, you know, the density of them areas, people moving out of certain areas. So we want to replicate the area we're in, basically, because it's ideal. We know that works, and then we want to look at areas like West Sussex, you know, your Wales, you know, down towards Brighton, and just find some really cool people where we can come and take this concept and do it there and continue to evolve the community and the business and the brand, and just. And then we want to go, you know, I won't go too much into detail because I'll give everyone our ideas, but it then evolves from another stage from that. And the experience, so we're all about the experience over the sale.
I think that's important. I followed you on Instagram for a while now, and I can see the show garden. I'm really interested in seeing that side, and how you've got different landscapers with different set of like ideas or skill or little touch, because everyone's got their own little style. I mean, you look at JJH landscape, what he does is very him, you know, and then you look at Matipo, who we had on a podcast, you know, he's a cobbly stone. You look at Utopia's stuff, my stuff, we all got like little niches. So I think having those show gardens for customers, sometimes they can't visualize, you know, if they're going to buy X amount of square meter of this cobble, you can show them one sample cobble, right? That's the tool we got. Here you go. That's the cobble you're going to have, you know. And I've got a set of drawings, and you just have to kind of make it work right now. because I can't order 7 square meters just to lay, you know, a little portion from it.
Dry line.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
variation.
so because you can see it laid different manners as well. I mean, when we work, we give the options to the customers often. So once they've decided the cobbles, we'll kind of tune how we lay them, maybe because we can show them, because we've got 8 pallets to work with, and we can have a mess about. But in some ways, you kind of want to send my customers to your places for them to really get a feel of the finer details.
Yeah, and it works so well for the end consumer. So like you say, they can come down, they can get inspiration, they can see the products in situ. But you know, we're sort of, we're more than a supplier. You know, we want to become, you know, a different type of platform where you know, you can come down for inspiration, recommendations, the products. But as a business as well, you know, we can run different classes, different coaching classes, and help the industry level up as a whole, and everyone that works with us in the community to up their game, to level, to systemize things, to communicate better, to get better branding, all that stuff we love. And, you know, talking to other like-minded people like Adam and yourselves, you know, you love it as well. So our perfect demographic is people like you who are super passionate, you know, want to do things different, want to grow, you know, and we sort of bump heads with each other, and we're like, this is great, like, you know, let's go on this journey together, sort of thing. And it's such a powerful bond that it creates within gardens, because with the landscaper and designer, they've got a physical space over their website that they can show their customer their work, their detail, but also it's a great way to generate leads. So people will come down at the weekend, wander around the gardens. We've got QR codes on the front. They can scan it. It pops up saying, "Dear Corker, I like Garden 5. Can you connect me with who done it?" We connect you, and we're sort of like this marketing tool, if you like. So we run all the ads, we run all the campaigns, we shout about the gardens, and we drive that footfall down to keep everyone busy. And we've helped them flourish, and in return, they've helped us flourish.
Little community, a little bit of like. Yeah, it's like pure. It's like the coral reef, mate, of landscaping. I mean, you know, I mean, let's hope it does better than the coral reef, because it's looking pretty flat at the moment. But yeah, I like that philosophy. You know, that kind of set of mind of like, actually, yeah, you're right. If the landscapers are doing good, we're going to be doing good. So how can we make sure we need to make sure the landscapers are doing good. So now it's straight away, you're working the right way. You're not working for yourself, but in some ways you are, but you're making that food chain work really well. We're
partners. We call them show garden partners, and you are our partner. And even if you are not a show garden, we've got prime partners, we've got trade partners. We treat everyone as a partner, you know. So if you came in and we know you really well, you're invested in the brand, you're really connected with us, and you say, look, I'm a little bit quiet, you know, we're going to do our best to funnel you leads as much as possible
group around the supplies. That's amazing. I mean, that for landscapers watching right now, it's kind of inspiring to hear that. And they'll probably want more of this in their local branches, and more of that kind of prospects and attitude, because going on that respect of, you know, people being a bit quiet at the moment, we are heading towards a big recession. It's no two ways about it. I've had more suppliers on the phone recently in the last couple of weeks, pushing sales, making sure, you know, we're not shopping elsewhere, making sure we're still in their kind of demand list, if you like. So today was funny actually. I'll tell you a story. So I got this guy from London Stone, this top stone mason polishing York stone because it was faulty. But London Stone doing their best, they're putting it right. And then I'm like on the patio and I'm chatting to this London Stone guy, and then I got a rep from Marshall's turn up. And I'm like, here we go, let's have a fight. I said, I'll chuck a knife in the middle and let's see who wins, you know what I mean? I mean, that was funny. But you know, I had Erica in our area. She deals with a lot of custom, and you know, even on her side, I can feel she was pushing sales. She was like, "Okay, Els, what can I do for you? What's your next job? You know, what have you got lined up? You know." So even those big firms, I think, are feeling the how do you call it, the pinch in some way that a lot of people that do driveways and do those jobs are kind of slowing down. You know, we're lucky, and I'll talk to a lot of landscapers on this platform, Instagram, that a lot of people are still busy, and that's amazing. But I think it is slowing down. So for you guys, have you felt that pinch a little bit recently? Or because you're kind of aiming to a different market, the more design, you know, those kind of products, so yeah, is it still really busy?
Yeah, I mean, we just had
Yeah,
a fantastic February. You know, our best month in trading. We've definitely had a bit of a lull in March because of the snow and the weather and the rain. No one can get
yeah,
on, but you know that's just weather. But the good thing about what we do, Els, is I still consider us as a startup, really. You know, we've really only been seriously doing this as Corker for the last 5 years. We rebranded 5 years ago, and if the market slows down, we speed up. We try to open more branches. You know, that's the perfect time for us
yeah,
to start really scaling and bringing on partners. So you know, I think, look, we're in a good location. Lucky enough, we've got some really affluent areas in the around here, and I think you know we're in almost like our own little microeconomy. I think if people are less likely
yeah,
to move because the housing market slows down, there'll be a lot of home improvements, people doing things in their gardens, and I think you two guys are probably in
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah,
similar sort of
yeah,
areas.
really, really affluent
You know,
area, and but even then, I mean, from a personal level, I can see that the smaller jobs are dropped off. But we specialize more in like the bigger projects, the designer work and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm booked up a year in advance.
yeah.
So, you know, I'm really blessed and I'm really happy, and I'm able to be very creative. Although I do design work, I'm super interested in obviously visiting your place, Ollie, because I want to try new products. This is where I get my joy from, trying new things,
Mm.
innovating the way we do things manually. So, you know, the relationship between us landscapers, Adam and me, and our suppliers is
Yeah,
super vital at the moment.
and I'd say it's pretty good for landscapers to have a few different suppliers to go to. So rather
Yeah,
than one, so I use obviously London Stone quite a lot. I use Arbor. We'll use Corker now just because you don't want to exhaust. You want to be a bit more creative with designs. Use different materials. So I think you kind of I guess shoot yourself in the foot a little bit by just using one supplier. You should have like a whole array of different people you go and see for because everyone specialises really in their own sort of area. But no,
no, I agree with that 100%
Yeah,
because, you know, I'm going to get cedar from, what's it called? Contemporary fencing, and I like getting a cedar there. It's a nice grade cedar, it's a nice colour. Every cedar job I do, it comes out really nice. And after I'm going to get, you know, I've used London Stone, Cheshire for a lot of porcelain that I like from there, and I've used, you know, Marshalls, and you know, I think every supplier's got their own niche. You know, Marshalls obviously more of a driveway concrete product, but they're kind of branching out with a few little bits. You know, like, I used to like getting their stack cladding, you know, the stack little pieces, like it from there. But I got it from London Stone. I didn't like it. It was more brittle. So you try other suppliers, there's different sources, and you kind of find your little, as a landscaper, you find your little niche with your suppliers, you know.
yeah,
And, you know, in some ways as well, you
mm.
want, I think if you put all your, and I don't know how you feel, Ollie, about this, but if you know, a landscaper puts his eggs all in one basket, obviously that shows real kind of commitment to that supplier, and that's amazing. But in some ways, I think it's good to kind of have a few as not as backup, but as you know, keeping everyone on their toes. It's like my customers, they don't just get me to quote. I'm going against free and for other landscapers. Like in my local area, we're all friendly, so it doesn't even feel like competition, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Like my customer might like my style over Adam's style, you know, or I definitely will. But you know, I might like dealing with Ollie more than I like dealing with London Stone, because you know, for X, Y, and Z. Because actually, for me, they're too big. I need a personal level. So I think you need to yeah.
Also, it's networking as well.
Yeah.
It's making connections with different people, and yeah.
No,
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of, I mean, everyone does nice products. There's so many nice products on the market, and like you say, there's some great suppliers out there. One I speak to quite often is Craig from Forest Stone. He's doing some lovely stuff.
Yeah.
He's, you know,
I'd say you two are very similar in terms of the way you do videoing and editing. And I've messaged Craig quite a few times, said like, just give him a well done, like love what you're doing. Yeah.
I don't know that company.
Yeah, love it.
The damage.
He's not been going that long. Yeah, he's doing some really cool stuff around like the New Forest, Southampton. But he really markets his product.
And also,
well.
it looks like he values his clients. So he'll go in and get the drone out and video them building it, video the ends, and I guess he edits himself. But yeah, it's incredible. And it's like what you guys are doing is all these big companies. I think they're missing a trick. They're not.
Yeah, mate, I think too many suppliers are focused on supply and demand. We add value in different ways. You know, we do give a further discount off if you hit over a certain spend, but that's not everything. You know, we give you all our production for free. We can come out, shoot all your projects, do all the videography. You can have them for your own website, your own Instagram. We've got the van, we've got direct contact. We do so much stuff outside of that. You know, we're just looking at other things, some really cool finance stuff that we're going to tap into, like this ecosystem that everyone can offer different packages to our customers in tough times. So we're always trying to innovate, not just on our products, on the services we provide, the value we add as a partner. And we like to do things different, mate.
I think so.
That's where we really stand.
You know, from the conversation I have with different suppliers and yourself tonight, I can see it's a spark that's gonna, you know, it's not just this other company that's opened up selling porcelain, or you know, this other firm that do like, you know what I mean? You've got so many new companies.
They're the best ones. The ones that ring you like 6 times a day, 10 times a day, and you go, do you know what? Yeah, okay. And all you say is you're okay. You get home, and there's like a box of 50 different artificial lawn samples, like composite decking samples, and it's,
yeah. You know what was quite nice, and recently I'm getting it more, maybe because my following on social media has grown a little bit, but I'm getting, so like Millboard. Millboard is obviously followed one of the projects we've done. It's the first time I do this metal decking. And it's nice they've contacted the office and my wife, and they want to come and see us, you know, so they're making that effort to come and see us, do what we're doing. I'm not a registered Millboard person. I don't want to be. Not interested in that, because I want to do my, you know, my installation my own way. I don't want someone to tell me you need to install decking like this, or, you know, because no, fuck that. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, it's nice that suppliers are reaching out and wanting to see what we're doing, and wanted to understand where we're using their products and stuff like that. I think that for me goes a long way. So for me, Millboard doing that to me, I use Millboard all the time. I think that for me, I value that. Do you know what I mean?
I've got to take my hat off to Millboard lately, you know, because previous to that, they've been shit with that. And I've said this to them, you know, but recently, hats off to them. They've gone out, they've really got in front of that community and their customers, and to support.
And it's nice because it's a British product, you know, I like that.
Even us as a supplier, you know, they've just put all the new decking area in for free of charge. all the cladding area, and that, you know, really going out and investing in their partners and their installers is.
Yeah. I think going back to the whole community thing, you missed it just before you joined, Ollie. That I was saying I was super impressed with. You've got a WhatsApp group for all of your clients. It's amazing. There's not many companies, because I'm in the APL WhatsApp group, but your WhatsApp group is like for any other suppliers out there. Like every day there's people. Oh, has anyone got any spare turf? Has anyone got any spare slabs? What's the best product to clean this? And it's just like instant. You've got someone there. The whole community of people helping each other.
Yeah, that is, yeah, it's a great WhatsApp group. We've probably got about 120 trade people in there now, so it just keeps. You got to be careful. There's women in the chat as well. So you got a little bit a bit professional, but yeah, it's a great chat. Like, it's not just about us. Like, we'd never pump product in there. You've probably never seen us put like anything in there like, this is discounted, you know, doing this. We never do that. It's all about, like, you know, instant messaging. If anyone in that sort of chat have got stuff for sale or things left over, or they're selling tools or they're selling vans, and it's everyone in our
really
local
nice.
community.
I want to be a part of that.
But
yeah, so just to go through things and I think we still got a bit of time, so we can kind of recap with, you know, I want to touch that, obviously, the relationship between kind of landscapers and suppliers. So for me, I think it's super important, right? And you've made it quite clear for you it is as well. And I think, you know, in the long run, you probably make, you know, better contacts, longer term contacts with people that are going to try with you and stuff like that. So for landscapers out there, what's your advice to them going further, you know, in choosing the right suppliers? Because, you know, I'm quite interested in see it from the supplier's point of view, you know. You know, is it because I see a lot of landscapers down my way that will buy everything from Travis Perkins, let's say, the sandstone, the porcelain, the fake grass, everything. I had a phone call from one of the guy that does all my pricing at Travis. He says, "You want something from London Stone? Come through me. You know, I get it cheaper than you can personally." So, you know, those people are pushing. What's your advice with young landscapers out there on how to deal with suppliers and blah, blah, blah?
Well, I would say, like, young landscapers, in our experience, sort of starting out, they're looking for the cheapest price. They need to get a good quote in to get the ball rolling. But so we try and sort of, you know, keep an eye on them young guys to see who's sort of up and coming. And then we come around with this ecosystem of support. We help them with leads, and we start, like, you know, giving a bit of operational support as well. But I would say just be open-minded. Be open-minded. Don't be complacent. Don't be just stuck at one supplier because of habit. Because the world's changing. We're moving very fast, and I think to be open-minded of this new generation. You know, I'm 31. You know, I'm going to be doing this for the next 30, 40 years, hopefully. You know, so I think you've got to be open-minded in this industry, in the world we live in now. And that would be my advice, mate. You know, just don't get stuck in one supplier because of habit.
You know this. Like, I've done that as a young landscaper, and I remember going to those building motions and being a bit, you know, as a young bloke, a bit nervous, you know, because you don't really know what you're talking about in some ways. You know, the first porcelain patio, you know, what do I need? I need the slurries, I need this. And
I think that's a very good point, because it's like going into, I guess, like going in Halfords, for example. They know nothing about cars. You ask them a question, they know nothing. And like, I've got a couple of merchants near me. You ask them a technical question, and you'd want the guy behind the till to kind of give you a bit of reassurance, or hang on a minute, I'll go grab someone. But they're kind of like, whereas how like do you? I know from my experience that London Stone do this, because they send their guys to the Landscape Academy. And they send all their staff up there. Is that something you do, Ollie? Do you train your staff in the materials, the equipment, and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So any new member of staff comes on, we train very, very thorough. When Rianne came on, we've never employed anyone with experience. We if someone comes in with builder's merchant experience, it's a big sort of red flag for us, because we want someone fresh, open-minded, that's going to be new to the industry, that we can train up. And so you can do as much theory as you want, but actually being in the day-to-day, in the deep end, when it's busy in the season, and you're asking them questions, or you're looking at the processes, and you're doing all them things in the day-to-day live, you're just going to pick it up so quick. And if there's things where you're like, we know we're such a good team, because we notice if someone needs a bit of extra support, so we pull them in, we have a chat with them, say, look, what are you struggling with? Can we help you with anything? Look, okay, right, you need to spend a day with so and so. Let's do this. And so we're always evaluating where people are at, how their morale is, what they got going on in their personal life. And mate, running a business, you're dealing with so many different emotions. You've got to be so kind and caring and treat everyone as part of the family. And I think that's where a lot of businesses get.
Are you a perennial partner? Are you going to look to become a perennial partner?
We're going to, so like I said, we've kept ourselves quiet. Believe it or not, with the marketing we do, we've kept ourselves pretty quiet. We don't go out to many shows, many awards, we only became barley registered last year. But now I say, we're knocking against that radius wall and sort of rebounding. We're sort of starting to cap ourselves. The time is now over the next few years to get outside our radius, build some more connections, expand that community and get a bit more awareness for the brand.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I mean, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit on what you were saying about staff, because actually I think we could probably do another full podcast on this. Staff and how we look after them and how important they are to your company. But as well, they're your biggest asset, but they're the biggest ball ache as well sometimes. But so the training's super important. So like if I was to pick up the phone and call Corker, and I had a little bit, it's funny actually, Ollie, because this kind of just reminded me. I had you on the phone earlier, and I asked you a question about that thin cladding. Yeah? The what is it called? X clad? And instead of saying, yes, that's something I saw, I'll sell it to you straight away, no problem. You said, and no, I've never used it. So you said they're hard to handle on site, they're thin. But that was a 5-minute conversation because we're both in a rush, whatever. But you see that level of, you understand the product, it's hard to work with. You're going to warn me about that. You're going to say, Els, listen, it's a So is your staff very similar in that respect? That you're going to give them that training and,
Mate, we're not here to bullshit. We're gonna cause ourselves a headache, and we have had a headache with that stuff. And I'll be the first one to tell you that if we're getting it in large sheets, it's not meant to be used outside like that. When you're dealing with massive sheets of 6mm cladding, trying to cut it with a 4mm grinder.
I'm going to order this special cutter, from Pro Tiler. It's like a track blade, a bit like a tile cutter, as in the traditional tile cutter, but for that.
Exactly, yeah. Ruby do a really good tool, like a suction kit, and then they use
I've seen those.
And they got the strap iron. And I think London Stone do it in a smaller sheet.
So 1.5 by 1 meter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just some. That's what I was saying to you. I'll look at the sheet sizes tomorrow, because I wouldn't want to sell you one of the big 3.6 meter sheets.
That'd be a nightmare.
You need the smallest sheets, mate. So
you see that level, just touching on that level of care in your customer's interest. I think that for me, although at the time I probably didn't think about it, but now we're talking about it, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, right there again. Just goes to show.
While we're on the topic of staff, I guess, but everyone, whether you're a landscaper, you're a supplier, or even a designer that's looking to grow, Ollie, how do you approach recruiting? Because I think everyone's struggling with finding staff. I think particularly for, well, even Els is in this conversation, but with us, with the experience, with the branding, it's so important to bring on the right person. So what's your approach to finding more staff and finding the right staff?
Well, our approach is definitely going to be different. Well, similar sort of approach, but different. There's different people out there for us. We can have anyone from any industry and train them up fairly quick in certain parts of the company. You know, there's obviously a lot more expertise we need at different levels, but in the day-to-day, you know, it's fairly simple, like learning the products and using the systems. But we market our brand to be different. We market our brand to sort of inspire this this generation and these people that are aligned with the way we're going. So we have like a really lovely sort of employee handbook that we send out before anyone starts, and it says in there, Corker might not be for you, and it tells you like, this is what we expect, like this is where we're going, we work hard, we have fun, we care, we're one big family, and we give you all that before you even come to an interview. And we've had people not turn up, we've had people fly down here and want to be involved, and you know, and that's how we approach things. It's like we're always up front of like what to expect when you're starting. I think, you know, marketing our brand and writing different copy, you know, instead of like, this is the job vacancy, this is what expertise you have, like that's all old hat. You know, we try to really inspire you, but also create copy that's really down to earth and makes you feel like welcome.
I'm gonna take that for myself. So what I do,
but I think, sorry, what you do, mate, I think is brilliant, because if I was a landscaper, and you else, if I was a landscaper and I wanted to get into landscaping, I'm going to want to go and work for a company that is similar to what we're doing, you know, like presentable, great on branding, good at marketing, because you're not just going there to learn landscaping, really. If I was in that mindset, you're going there to learn about the whole sort of operation of running a business, how you present yourselves, and all that comes with it. So I think, like, personally, you do it great, but I think there's a real shortage in our industry and skilled people coming to landscaping. So, you know, hats off to the Landscaping Academy and the other company that do it. Like, I think they're brilliant. And I think moving forward as an industry and a collective and a community, you know, we need to inspire as many people as we can to get involved with it.
I mean,
it is a great
big issues, to be honest, with the next generation of skilled workers, like you say, and that, you know, landscaping, that's what we're talking about, but in all trades. I've had apprentices, I've had young people, I've had all sorts of, you know, skilled, unskilled, people that didn't know a Scooby, and you train them up. I've had them all. And, you know, employing people is a challenge in its own. Training them is another challenge. It's a huge investment, and it's investment small companies like mine or Adam are willing to make, and train them the right way. But I think you've got the problem of retention.
Yeah.
So once you've trained someone to be a skilled worker, that person is valuable. So you can only pay to your ability. You know, you can't keep on raising that bar.
Then again, there's me and I talk about books all the time. I'll send you a couple of books, but it's, yeah, people are interested in a good salary, but beyond that, paying them more money doesn't mean they're going to be happy or more productive. It's like we try and do with our clients is create an experience for the clients, because they pay for the product, they expect the garden. What they don't expect is the experience from day one to finish. And the same with the guys, like day to day, you need to make their experience of work enjoyable. Because paying a little extra is not going to keep them. What's going to keep them is a Sunday night.
I totally agree with that. I mean, trying to, you know, make fun things, you know, but the day-to-day base, I mean, you go through a winter like that, if your heart is not into landscaping and you've gone through the winter we've just gone, you're not going to last in the industry. That's just end of the line.
I'm glad that we've got into summer now. It's really,
it doesn't feel like summer.
Well, you know, because then you know, like you're starting to touch on like leadership levels. You know, as you as a leader, how you keep that morale up in the team, and you know, and I've learned all that from my dad, really, mate. You know, he's done some tough winters outside his whole life, and you know, keeping up that morale and that sort of energy. Because, mate, even right here in the winter, it's, you know, things, if we're seasons, so things dip off in the winter, everything goes quiet, but you as a leader have to keep everyone proactive, everyone high energy. So I'm normally coming here shouting and having a laugh and just keeping everyone happy, getting the music on.
I think, you know, every site needs to have that bubbly kind of experience, right? We put the music on when the sun's out. We have the best time, honestly. The tops come off. You know what? The customer love it. At the beginning, my wife's like, "You can't take your top off. We want to be professional." I'm like, no. You know, all the wives of the husbands, everyone do that. It's part of the service, bro. So, you know, I like that aspect of trying to, but some of the kids that we've had and the guys we've had, and again, that could be a whole podcast of its own about mental health. I've had people with huge amount of mental health issues, and that is quite important to me because my dad's schizophrenic, so I've experienced mental health at a full front, so I do understand it. So for us, looking after this generation of young labourers that smoke too much ganja, you are a bit, you know, not sure of what the future holds and blah, blah, blah. I think we're in the prime position to kind of look after them and give them, you know, not only maybe a career, but give them a good time, give them a purpose, because the job satisfaction of landscaping is huge. You can do a day's work and you stand back from what you've achieved and you're like, wow, this is what we achieved today. So those guys are seeing now.
Do you know what was nice today is that we went back to a project. So this is Max and Steve's first project together, which I designed, but I had no input in the setting out, the build, or anything like that. We went back today to collect some. We had a shed built, so we went back to collect some rubbish. And the client come out. He loves what Max and Steve did. He loves them. We all just stood there having a coffee, and Max and Steve's faces just looking at the garden they've built. Like it was nice for me to stand and just step back and just look at them too. Yeah. They were just like, they weren't like, there's a period of maybe a couple of minutes, like no one spoke. They were just like looking at the garden, just like, yeah.
Pure satisfaction from the end, you know. And for them to go back and see the customer there, it's not their customers, but they obviously treated it like that. So I mean, I think we're going to start wrapping it up. But on that note of labour and employees, I think we'll do a podcast about it because it's so vital. Because you know, Adam and me wouldn't be where we are without our staff. The same for you, Ollie. You wouldn't be where you are without, you know, efficient staff. So I think we'll definitely do a podcast about that on its own.
Yeah,
but, you know, I think
are we going to talk about possibly? I think we know who the next guest could be, but are we going to say about the Q&A, about having maybe every fifth one we do a Q&A?
Yeah, no, that would be cool. So I think the next guest is going to be, I don't know, Ollie, if you know him, you probably know him from social media, but hopefully it's going to be JJH Landscape.
Yeah.
So Justin.
Oh yeah.
I think.
He just picked up all the awards at the LPL, didn't he?
No, I mean, that's amazing.
I
think we need to, I'm hoping, he's very busy. I had him on the phone, he's very busy, but I'm hoping he's going to be on next Wednesday, so that would be amazing.
Before we finish, there's just this one question just popped up actually. Someone said they've been doing hard landscaping for 9 years for another company, and now they're wanting to go out alone. What advice would we give? Just quick before we go out. What advice would you give to someone that's working for someone else for 9 years and now they're taking the step?
Well, go for it. What can you say? I mean, you know, I think it's time for, you know, if that's what he wants to do, if he understands the implication of running, because working as a landscaper for a landscaper is very different than being a landscaper and running your business. So all I can say is if you're ready to kind of run a business, not just be a landscaper, go for it, because you won't regret it if that's what you want to do. But yeah, you're gonna eat, sleep, and breathe landscaping, because you know, once you're in, it just never leaves your mind. I don't know what you think, Adam, but
I'd say my experience, I'd say work on yourself first. Make sure you got your values. Yeah, make sure you got your values in check. Make sure you're a good person, and then sort of then hit it, rather than just kind of going out, because it's not all about the skills of how to build something. There's the interactions. There's so much more to it that I think you have to work on yourself. Do a bit of self-development first, and then go out on your own when you're ready. Ollie?
Well, I would say it's obviously a hard transition, isn't it, going from a full-time paid job to, you know, to no work and starting up on your own. So, you know, you're going to need to start building up some private work at the weekends and in the evenings, and really putting that graft in outside of those normal hours. You know, building up a bit of word of mouth, and creating a bit of Instagram, bit of social, bit of a brand. And then you're going to get to the point where you can't cope with that workload anymore.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to make a decision whether you move over from the full-time job and make that leap, or you stay where you are. And, you know, making that leap is a big jump, but it'll be worth it. You just got to go for it. So, you know, make sure you're ready. There'll be that point.
No, that's very true. Very true. Making sure you're ready, because once you go, there's no turning back. I mean, you can probably turn back, right? But on this note, I think, you know, so thank you, Ollie, but we got JJH next week, hopefully, and then we'll do a Q&A. So hopefully, yeah, you know, you can ask some question about the podcast tonight. If you have any question for Ollie and the way he does things, we'll do it not next week, the week after. And yeah.
Before we go, Ollie, do you want to do a quick plug of the event?
Yes, we're relaunching our showroom this year. We're doing it on the 29th of April from 10 till 4. And obviously I want to say thanks to you two for inviting me on. One of the showgrounds we're doing has actually got an outdoor podcast studio, so we can shoot some really cool podcasts out in the garden in the summer. So I'd love to get you two down, and
just a little thought there.
Join,
we need, with Adam's idea, but we want to do like an intro video and an outro video. So yeah, maybe we can do it in your lovely Corker environment. You know, showing some gardens, and because it's about landscapers, so. And landscaping and stuff like that. So maybe we'll have a chat about
that. Yeah. The garden that we're putting in, it's so cool. We've got like this big, pink, huge window frame where we sit up the camera, and it looks into the garden. And then we sit down into this like lovely patch which has got Skelevis flooring, and we can like sit up, talk about, you know, all the different things that we spoke about tonight in a bit more detail.
So, yeah. Flooring? Skelevis.
As well, for the people watching, but obviously thank you for watching, but you can find this podcast. At the moment it's not edited, but I think we're going to get to that point where we're going to start fine-tuning it. But you'll find it on my YouTube, Adam's YouTube. What other platform, Adam?
I'm going to put on Spotify, because Spotify now you can do video as well as audio,
and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you very much, Ollie. It's been great.
Yeah, Ollie, thank you.
Chatting to you. No,
cheers, boys.
You take care. Have a great week, guys.
Perfect.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
You too. See you later. All right.
It should be the leaving thing, shouldn't it? The thumbs out.